I was just sitting here, like, kind of revisiting a little bit from Crane's Wife, which is the one album from Decemberists that I knew and I listened to a long time ago, and I've always really enjoyed. And I just remember they have the song "O Valencia" here, and I used to listen to that song as I was going to a college locally that has the same name, and I was just like, I always used to play that song while like driving into the school, like I was. I don't know why. It just felt like, okay, I'm going to school, might as well play. Anyways, welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for being here and for clicking on the video. I appreciate you just being here. Whether you're sitting down in your favorite chair, you're lounging in bed with your phone, you're doing one of these, don't drop it. You need the little hook on the back of your phone so you can hold it, the little key ring, so you can hold your phone like that. Because many times I've had my phone in my hand goes down and just drops on you. Anyways, we're not here for that. I'm not sponsored by the key ring, by Big Key Ring. Let's go ahead and listen to the Decemberists. We're going to listen to this track, Joan in the Garden. This is off of their 9th studio album, As It Ever Was, So It Will Be Again, which was released just last year in 2024. We're listening to this track because it was suggested and sponsored by our resident journalist, Jeremy. Jeremy, thank you so much for the suggestion and for the support. Really appreciate that. And you had also emailed me some background on the song, which I haven't looked at yet. I don't even have the email open, but I will open it after we listen to it, talk about it, and then we'll go back and check that out there. But I just want to say I love the album cover. Let me put you guys up here. I love the album cover here with these kind of, I don't know what you would call it. I don't know what the style would be described as, but like to me, it's like a storybook kind of animal scene right here, and I just think that looks really cool. I mean, to me, it sets the scene for the music that we're about to listen to. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Let me pull up the song. We will talk about it a little bit after. Settle In. It's about 19 minutes long. It's the final track as well on the album. I can't say for sure because I'm not overly familiar with the Decemberists. Just one album under my belt and then a couple of songs here and there. But this does seem like to be one of their longer tracks. I can't say that I've ever seen a long track like this from the band, but regardless, we will take it all in stride. So let's go ahead and do so. We'll talk about it after. Here we go.
In a book I found Joan in the garden. I will write this down. I will lay her heart in mine for time. Write a line, erase a line. In the dawning light, as she left her body.
I like the setup with that melody.
Gifted second sight. Did she lay her dowry by? Lay by. Write a line. Erase a line. And if you listen closely, you can hear them singing. Oh,
I love the way he enunciates. How his voice comes through.
oh,
You can always recognize Colin.
if you listen closely, you can hear them singing. Oh, Hosanna.
Gorgeous pool opening.
Make her 10 miles tall. Make her orange bleed mountains. Let her tempters fall. Make her tears weep thousands by. Now to try. Write a line. Erase a line. And if you listen closely, you can hear them singing. Oh, oh, oh,
I like the way he holds that.
oh. And if you listen closely, you can hear them singing. Oh, oh, oh.
I mean, this feels like just a song unto itself. The first chorus. Transition. Those bells are hearkening something, heralding something. And the distorted guitar is starting to. You've been there. With piano taking over. It's coming. And I can't tell if it's speaking or like a radio transmission that's playing in the background here. Nice crossfade. That was a great crossfade. You have the first part is gone now. Wonderfully done. Good build up too. You know it's gonna go. You know it's gonna go. You know it's coming. Keep it going.
Just another tinsel ornament, another troubled sky.
This is such a great transition though from that first part.
We are golden in the firmament. Catch us as we fly.
This beat's so big live, especially the guitar.
I only know what's right.
And there's some other sound that's coming in and out, like up and down.
I'm suspended from the orrery, bursting into life.
Like a know like when it's gonna end. Every time they get to the hits at the end, you think it's the last one, as I do. Right? Because it does those fills that sound like they're gonna go on into another section. But no, they just keep going. See? Unexpected. Now you can hear that sound clearly, but that's been going on. I like how it sounds like the aftermath, the ashes of that whole buildup in the middle here. Like a musical junkyard. Sometimes you don't even realize the rhythm's being set, but it is. I'm trying to hear what he's saying. Sounds like all these radio transitions and sounds. It's like a children's song. This electronic pong on the side. This is like complete deconstruction from the previous build-up. This is like their Pink Floyd Echoes moment. This is like their Echoes moment. And see that melody, that bed of melody starting off. That's what it sounds like to me. Thank you. build something. Sounds like someone's clicking through their PlayStation screen. Back to that pink symbol, that palm symbol. It's coming back in, little by little. See, they're little by little bringing the melody, pulling it back in from darkness. They had you. They had you. Wrap it up, boys.
Over stone and grapevine,
Completely different now.
souls on the bread line. There's a reckoning at hand, our hand. See them fled in the black hole. Catch it all on your console. We have come at your command.
That's
We
a
stand.
brilliant end.
We stand. Lesson babe on display. Breakers go on the parquet. Wayward mariner away. We pray. See his daughter and son. The Imperium undone. All the autocrats who lay to waste, to waste.
And the synth. Ride those toms like a gallop. I got you.
Holy 400 chime, come and
tell you? Genuinely, they could have honestly kept going. They cut it off. They were done at 1920. They could have kept going, honestly, and I would have had zero problem with that. That was brilliant. That was one of the best songs I've heard from Decemberists in a long, long time. That's really good, and I haven't listened to them like that much. But that's good. I mean, we listened to Mariner's Revenge, but yeah, absolutely brilliant track. And like I know that obviously they've done like 10-minute songs and such and what before, but like they really nailed this one. And it was so interesting the whole time, so progressive. The experimental middle section, which to me, I could not but help think of Pink Floyd with Echoes. And of course, the ping section, right? And what they do in there. And this was a little bit more distorted and a little bit more experimental in what they were kind of doing in there. But the way that they would slowly, like, they broke everything down and then they would build it back up by putting a little melody here, a hint of a melody, and then pulling it back. They put another hint of a melody and they pull it back. Like, that was just really cool. And then eventually they kind of bring it all together very, very nicely, like gravel to a mountain. Just incredibly done. And this is a track that you can definitely feel the different sections. You can feel the different movements and hear them. And as distinct as each of them are, they bring it together very well. They connect all of these really well. Especially that first one. I'm not going to... I just have to like skip around to find it. But the first transition between the gorgeous, you know, kind of laid back folky sound here, like, right? The transition between that section, which is just gorgeous, wonderfully done. It's intimate. It's humble. It's kind of like setting us out to sea. It's like just pushing the boat out into the ocean. I don't know how. It's just setting us out. And then the way that it transitions into this, almost bringing a Western fable to it, almost having that kind of gallop in the rhythm, right? Which the gallop would be revisited at the end in that very rock section with the guitar, because it's playing in a gallop, just in a different way. So it's really cool how throughout this piece of music, or throughout this track, they repeat things like the chorus, the Hosanna part, right? That's repeated in the first two sections and then again at the very end, just in different ways and in different forms and in different environments, obviously. But the way that like that gallop is done, drums, and then the gallop is once again done right there. Just in a different way, not with the drums that time, now with the guitar. And it's just really, really cool how all of that is so incredibly done. That transition in the first part, from that folkiness into the, I don't know, what I would say is the big cathedral anthemic sound, because of the way the bells ring at the end, the bum, 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 bum. And that continuous buildup is probably my favorite part of this song. I love how it kept on going. There wasn't a break in that pattern. There wasn't a time where it went off and exploded into something else. No, it just kept on going on. And I love the way that John Moan plays the drums in that section. Because at the end of each of those measures, after the bong, 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 he plays a drum fill that all of us have heard so many different times, because he plays all the different types of drum fills that you would hear a band use to transition into another section, whether it's to a chorus, a break, a solo, a bridge, whatever. He uses all those different types of drum fills, and it never goes into a different section. It just always starts over again. And I thought that was kind of creative, to be honest, how he did that. Like, we skip ahead. Like that fill, right? But no, this goes back to the hi-hat shuffle, right? Skip ahead. Another drum fill. But no, it repeats. So you see what I mean? Like, he just constantly does other different drum fills that makes you think, okay, this is the one, but it's never the one, because by the time they switch into another gear, it's not even after one of those drum fills. So they keep you on your toes. It's unpredictable. It's not even after one of those. It's somewhere kind of in the middle. It just peters out. And That's really cool. I thought that was really brilliant how they did all that. And then Colin sounds absolutely wonderful throughout this whole track, whether it is in the beginning where it's more, humble and folky, or in the part we just listened to where that adventurous side is starting to come out a little bit more. And he really pushes it. Or near the end in the straight, just rockin' section. Like, in any capacity, he's doing a fantastic job here. On the vocals, Chris Funk, guitars, steel, synths. I love the synth solo at the end amongst that climactic rock and roll section. That is really good. I can't help but see that. I just can't help but see. This is just a random thing. Tucker Martinez producing this. He used to be married to Laura Veres. They got recently kind of divorced. Right now. Something. I just happened to see that. But like that's just a brilliant track, and I love all the transitions. The way that I thought it was so smart. The way that's the first section. I'm just trying to pull it back here. The way that the first section ends by crossfading. The first section be slow descent, fades out, while the new section comes in. Most notably by the piano from the second section coming in here. Of course, the drums. And the guitar, you hear it coming up a little bit more, right? The bells, you already hear them. But like, it's just really cool how they transition those sections really well. And they allow time, They allow time for it to organically manifest themselves and organically move between the sections. They don't do like a quick crossfade. No, the crossfade, from its most subtlest moments, probably takes a good 2 to 3 minutes, more or less. Probably a little bit more. I would say 3 to 4, somewhere in there. So that by the time you're in that second section with the bells and everything, it's almost like, oh, I didn't even realize we got here. And then, of course, they do a similar thing later. But there's a stark difference between that transition and the transition out of that experimental part into the finale there. I don't know if I can find it that quick. Right there. I'm just trying to find that exact moment. There's the guitar. There's your herald. It's coming up. Like, this one's not a crossfade. This one, it just pops through. As it becomes more melodic, there's your signals. Guitar. It's like the band's walking back on stage. Right? Silence. And back into it. So, like, I think their use of transitions is just also very, very well done as well. That experimental section, I love that. I loved how after I call it the bell ringing section, after that broke down, we were left in the remnants, the ashes, the fallout of that. And it sounded like the band and the music was just kind of breaking down and moving around, kind of like scattered atoms. There was some radio signals or radio transmissions and voices that were being heard through there. There were some before that as well in the track. We'll have to dive into that to see about that. But what I liked is that in that instrumental section, you had a lot of dissonance. But then as it progressed, like I mentioned, you had those hints of melodies that would begin to show their faces just a little bit, and then it would be pulled back, and then come back in and pull back. And then by the time we really got to get that full effect of the melodies returning to the song, that's when it got into the ba 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 ba. It just goes on from there. Really excellent track. I think that this was brilliant to listen to, and I enjoyed every single second and every single moment of this. Yeah, let's dive into these lyrics now. Just got to scroll on up a little bit. Part 1. In a book I found, Joan in the garden, I will write this down. I will lay her heart in mine for a time, write a line, erase a line. Like that, write a line down, then erase a line. So is this like a Ship of Theseus kind of thing where he's found this book that's had writings in it, and he's erasing the writings in there and putting some of his own so that it's not really that book anymore? In the dawning light, as she left her body, gifted second sight, did she lay her dowry by, lay it by, write a line, erase a line. If you listen closely, you can hear them singing, ho, ho. If you listen closely, you hear them singing, Hosanna. Make her 10 miles tall, make her arms cleave mountains, let her tempters fall, make her tears weep fountains, by now to try, write a line. Like he's writing the story of this person, and hence he's making it a literal tall tale. If you listen closely, you can hear him sing Hosanna. Just another tinsel ornament, another troubled sky. We are folded in the firmament, catch us as we fly. I don't remember what I ought to be, I only know what's right. I'm suspended from the orrery, bursting into light. If you listen closely, you hear him singing. Over stone and grapevine, over the soles of the bread line, there's a reckoning on hand, our hand. They're like we're the masters of our own destruction. See them flayed at the flagpole, catch it all on your council. Which, by the way, some of the sounds in the instrumental part sound like a PlayStation home screen. We have come at your command, we stand. Blessed babe on display. This is when it comes back in. Break her skull in the parquet. Wayward mariner, awake, we pray. She is daughter and son, the imperium undone. All the autocrats are laid to waste, to waste. O holy whore androgyne, come and sunder the stop signs. Break it all so we can build again. Bring on Duke or Dauphin, blood will flow like a fountain. As it ever was, so it will be again. And it repeats from there. Okay, so I'm glad that Jeremy provided some context, which we'll look at in a second. I have the email pulled up there. I just haven't, read it. But I have no idea what's going on. I'm getting the idea of like writing a story about a person, writing a line, erasing lines, kind of changing history, perhaps. Or changing fact. But as it goes on, honestly, I'm not quite sure what's happening. Is there any information here? Second art scene, favorite reviews. Nothing necessarily. If you allow me, let me click on like one of these. Flaring. I know what flaying is. I know what it is. I want to read about the story. The lyrics alter the setting of the song in a notable way. Let me read from the beginning a little bit. Let's start here. These lines are a literal narrative about Colin Malloy writing Joan in the Garden. The book Colin is referring to is the Book of Joan by Lydia Yuknovich. After reading, he went on a Joan of Arc kick, which is referenced in the line, I will lay her heart in mine. Okay, so he's feeling deeply inspired by the Joan of Arc. Okay. And he's feeling perhaps that she's a muse in a sense. Gotcha. Is this a reference to Duran's Union of the Sake? I don't know. These are just user submitted thoughts. Let me just go ahead straight into Jeremy, if you don't mind. I'm just going to pull up your pages that you wrote for me really quick. Your summation. And you said that this is directly from Colin. You've said you've basically summarized the Substack post that Colin wrote, providing extensive insight into the composition and recording of this track. So let me pull that up here really quick. All right, so I'm going to read it for you guys. Can I pull it? Hold on. Let me open it somewhere else, and I'll bring it up on the screen. Give me a second. I'm opening it into a Google document here, and that should be okay. Hold on 1 second. One more thing. Got you. All right. This track, Joan in the Garden, makes up the fourth side of this album. The song had a long gestation dating back to 2017 when he was reading, of course, the book, which we read. Okay, so we know that part. The Book of Joan, ostensibly a novel inspired by the story of Joan of Arc that takes place on some kind of post-apocalyptic Earth. It had a huge impact on Colin and prompted him. This is why Jeremy's our resident journalist. That's why. And prompted him to soak up everything he could find on Joan of Arc. He decided to explore this journey through song, but did not want to write a standard biography. Instead, he began playing around with a song called Joan in the Garden that dealt with Joan's initial visions. Do you remember the Joan of Arc movie from the 90s? We used to watch that in school all the time. There's a blooper that's from a skyward looking down on her shot. And as she's walking towards the stake where she's going to be burned, there's a blooper in there. If you look, she's wearing like white Nike shoes, whereas in every other shot, I believe she's either barefoot or something of that nature. I still remember that. Okay. He recalled a famous painting simply called Joan of Arc. Joan surrounded by the green of the garden with the spectral images of three saints behind her. Says Colin about that painting, I am always taken by the expression on her face. This isn't a purely joyful vision. Here Joan is wide-eyed, perplexed. She seems almost anguished. A look of astonishment is there, but also despair. Transportation with not a little terror and all mixed in. Like she knows how this is going to all end up. It reminds me of the universe of emotions that play out in Renee John Falconetti's face when she took on the role of Joan. As he wrote, Colin tried to find a way into that revelatory moment in the garden and set about working on demos. Then the pandemic hit. All right, I'm summarizing. During the pandemic, he started messing around with guitar pedals, experimenting, which he applied to the On the Garden song. A chorus arrived 3 weeks later. The song started to grow, and of course, things grow in the garden. He returned in 2003 to the song when the band reconvened to start work on their first album after the pandemic. As he developed the song further, lyrics from the second expansive section were already reflecting to a degree what he imagined the interior monologue of someone having a profound hallucinogenic vision. He went back to the novel. He said he wanted to make something that properly reflected the baffling nature of her story. Of course, he was once again drawn to that moment in the garden. How close he imagined the experience of creative revelation might be to angelic religious revelation. So it became a song as much about Joan as it was about Colin finding himself in his own own experience in the fractured world. Sometimes I'm trying to shorten things, but I miss a little bit. Okay, this is the interesting part. For the song's hallucination section, they wanted something that reflected even more strongly the feel of the Book of Joan, something weird, wild, and beautiful. Something that could set up the song's final movement, something strange and revelatory that could illustrate the idea of religious and creative transportation. He says he was surprised how joy could be wrung from creating 5 minutes of sound for that middle section. What listeners hear is mainly a modular synth. They augmented that with a bass rumble, along with some crunchy guitar feedback and moog. There are some spectral voices in there. That's what I want to know about the voices, which Colin figured was appropriate in any representation of a cosmic angelic visitation. But there's no way you'd likely make them out. One of them is Geoffrey Hill, an English poet, reading one of his poems. Hill's work traded in a lot of ancient world mythos and stories of kings. The other voice is Quentin Crisp, who was a trans/queer icon in the last century. So much of Joan's story, says Colin, revolves around her sublimation, that's a good word, of it just sounds satisfying, sublimation of gender norms. Even in her jail cell, faced with execution, she insisted on wearing men's clothing. So Quentin's felt like an important voice to include in the choir. There's also a 1950s recording of some singing. That's okay. I got that one out. 1950s recording of some kids singing nursery rhymes. Finally, Colin locked on an appropriately metal guitar riff. Yeah, that's for sure. That grew out of the movement from the second section and hits that final coda there at the end. Jeremy, see, I like that. I appreciate you sending me the information, because if I didn't have that, I may have looked a little bit, but I would have probably been like, I don't know. So that adds a lot of depth and meaning, and now it makes a lot of sense what's being actually performed, how it came to be, the composition, the experimental part in the middle, what it's meant to represent, the voices and what those are. See, now it makes sense. And I wouldn't have even thought about, honestly, I wouldn't have even thought about Joan of Arc. I mean, that would be the first Joan that I would think of with Joan in the Garden, but I just would never have, I wouldn't have put those together. But now that it is together, it makes so much more sense. So I got it. Sometimes the puzzle pieces, you got to start on the outside and then fill it in the middle. Jeremy, thank you so much for the recommendation. I really, really appreciate that. And I hope that you all enjoyed listening to the music and exploring it and diving into it with me. Of course, thank you so much, as always, for just being here. You can support what I do on Patreon, the Buy Me a Coffee. Like Jeremy, if you'd like to, take a song request that you have and bump it up the line, you can do so there. I appreciate you all spending some time with me. Please, please, please enjoy the rest of your day, because it's a beautiful one out there. Well, okay, not on my end, but you make the day beautiful. It's not the clouds, it's you. Have a wonderful day, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.